When you think of children's toys, you probably picture something along these lines, or maybe something like this. Well, as innocent as these two places may seem, both of them are harboring a dangerous secret: sexism. Sexism in the world of children's toys is nothing new. Just look at the 1967 box for Milton Bradley's popular Battleship game. Notice anything strange about it? It seems even in the toy market there was room for the old women belong in the kitchen line. With as shocking as something like this might be to a modern audience such as yourselves, you might be thinking to yourself that something like this would never happen these days, right? Sadly, this is nowhere near the case. If anything, the enforcement of gender stereotypes has become more common. For instance, in a consumer-oriented market like the one we live in today, companies have to find new and more subliminal ways of tricking their customers into purchasing their products. However, toys nowadays are much more polarized, and just going to any toy store today will prove this. Even at a glance, one can tell what is the girls' aisle as opposed to the boys' aisle. There are three main ways that toy companies can orient their products towards either boys or girls. First, color. Almost everyone is familiar with the idea of pink is for girls and blue is for boys. But this wasn't always the case. In fact, the idea of pink is for girls and blue is for boys is a largely modern construct, the first known example of which only dates back to around 1880. But ever since then it has been the subject of intense debate. According to the June 1918 issue of the Infants Department magazine, there has been a great diversity of opinion on this subject, but the generally accepted rule is pink for the boy and blue for the girl. Pink, being a more decided and stronger color, is more suitable for the boy, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl. Secondly, test production companies often use buzzwords like beautiful and cool or dazzling and awesome. But one aspect of these words that you might not have thought about is the typeface. There are two types of fonts, serif and sans serif. Serif fonts are generally more angular and pointed, with blockier letters that give a more masculine feel to a product. On the other hand, sans serif fonts tend to flow more than serif, which we automatically associate with females. Think cursive. The final aspect of a product that can be used to associate with is the design of the toy itself. Lots of the more physically interactable toys, such as action figures, building toys, and so on, are usually designed to cater to the wants and desires of the male population. However, the more plain and single-function toys, like play kitchen sets and dress-up dolls, are more oriented towards girls. In terms of sales numbers, taking a stance either for or against sexism can have very differing impacts on a company. For instance, if a company chooses to use the aforementioned elements of sexist toy design, they narrow their target demographic and appeal to very specific groups, which leads to the possibility of increased revenue. However, unless you are a well-established brand that has the money to gamble with, it can be hard not to appeal to gender stereotypes. For brands like Lego and Mattel, they can take risks in going against the norm, because doing so won't force them to go bankrupt, at least not immediately. But with smaller companies, taking a stand can be make or break, even putting them out of business if anything happens to backfire. This is why we see the market becoming saturated with smaller companies trying to appeal to gender stereotypes, while bigger companies tend to make more progressive and risky business choices. In the end, gender stereotyping definitely isn't going away anytime soon, but hopefully, with the public becoming progressively more aware of the world around them,
we as a people can work slowly towards its elimination.